PBS Hawaiʻi Classics is sponsored by the Olson Trust.
Hi, welcome to the Cooking the Chinese Way. Today we are in downtown Honolulu in Chinatown. As you can see, we're in store. The store is called a Chonghua store. Now this is quite a store, folks. We would like for you to notice this store because it sells something like an antique as well as very useful things such as chopsticks and platers and containers, things like that. So now if you would follow me, I would first like to introduce to you our status right over here. This is what we call the goddess. She's got a name for it. We call it Kuan Yin. Now Kuan Yin is one of the goddess in the Chinese religion. Her major function is to in charge mercy. So many times when you see a status like that, her right hand side would have a small branch of weeping willow. Her left-hand side would have a small vase, just like the vase right around here. Later on you can see. And when she decides the world deserves any peace, then she would dip that little willow into the vase and get a little water and then sprinkle it all over the world so that the world will get the peace. She also in charge the sending the babies. So in the China, in the old times, when people decided they wanted babies, then they worship her. One thing is very interesting is, when she decides to travel, she doesn't take any 747 and that sort of thing. Nowadays, well, it's just too much hijacking. I think she's mighty smart, doesn't she? She doesn't take that kind of thing. So all she needs to do would be to ride on a lily flower. So she is known as the lady, the goddess, who ride on the lily flower, then she can go just anywhere she wanted to go. And this is one of the very popular goddess, very popular among the Chinese ladies. Now, as you can see, right over here, right in front of it, we have a little vase to put the incense. To the outsider, so to speak, if you are not quite familiar with this kind of Chinese religion, you will know what does it mean. Now, they always worship with 3 pieces of incense. It could be 3 pieces, as you can see right over here, or 6 or 9. It always an odd number to represent good luck. Now this thing is constantly going on in the store because that's a part of the tradition. It's so different, folks. You don't see anything like that in a big American big store, departmental store. But this is one of the ways that the Chinese people do, especially among the little older generation. It's quite interesting, folks. As you can see, there are 3 faces on the picture. This represents 3 brothers, represent 3 gods. Now this picture shows the brotherly love and the righteous. This is something quite different, folks. You would not see it in any American store. However, the older generation of Chinese would like to put an altar like that in their store so that they can worship and get the blessing. As you can see right by there, you see the candle holders and you see some incense or vase with the incense to do their daily worshiping. Now, right by me on this side, as you can see, we will have an old vase. This is made during the Qing dynasty. It's roughly about 200 years old. This is the thing that Chinese people love to put it in their living room so that to show the antique they have. Now, if you would take a look at this vase, you will see the older people. They are very happy they get together, and then you would see a pine tree. Now the pine tree and the older people are always get together, and they are always representing longevity. You know, folks, in China, longevity is very important, may it be in daily life or may it be in anything that they do. That's why always we say a 9-course dinner by the time we are having food, and this representing the longevity. Speaking about 9-course dinner, we have some very interesting China ware here. You take a look at this one. This is what we call the teacup. The teacup means a whole lot in the Chinese life, because every time you eat Chinese dinner, you got to drink hot tea so that it would wash down the oil, make you feel a lot better. Then the next one you can see would be a small tray in which you put your soy sauce and your mustard. Sometimes you mix them together. That would go for practically any kind of Chinese dishes. Now that you take a look at the chopsticks and the chopstick holder, by the time you eat the Chinese food, you have a 9-course dinner, whatever, you lay it down your chopsticks. This way you keep your chopsticks clean and your tablecloth clean. Now folks, let us go in the studio and I will show you how to use the chopsticks. Now as you can see, we have different kind of chopsticks right over here. So we take a look at all this. You look at the first one right over here, deep red looking. Now this kind of red looking, red color occupy an important part in the Chinese culture. This kind of red, we call it Chinese red, and represents the prosperity. So someday you take a trip to Peking, to Shanghai, places like that, especially in Peking, you will see a lot of old palaces. Then you will not be surprised to see all these red pillars. And that red pillar represents nobility, represents prosperity as well. Now that this chopsticks is made out of wood, and one of the most popular way people are making chopsticks with. So sometimes they like to put a little bit golden dot on it, so give a little brighter color. And this is just about the things that the kind of chopsticks most popularly used among the Chinese. Then the next one you see right over here is black. We call it a black horse. Yeah. Normally, folks, you do not use the kind of black-looking chopsticks. It's also made out of wood. Now that's in comparison, it's just about the least commonly used color among the Chinese chopsticks. Then the next one to it is made out of bamboo. This is a very popular way people make the chopstick, because it's easy to make, easy to handle, it's so inexpensive to make. Now, in some of the bamboo chopsticks or some other chopsticks as well, they at times like to put some writing on it. That's a good wish, to wish anybody who using these chopsticks. Now, it might be hard for you to see, but the first word, we call it Fok, and then Lok, Sao, Yi, Hong. In short, it means wishing you blessing, wishing you noble and longevity, and everything goes away, and good health. And folks, I'm telling you, if you know how to use a chopstick well and use it often, I guarantee you have good health. Then another thing we see right over here would be a short and sharp-pointed chopstick. Now this is mostly used by the Japanese people. Frankly, to me, it's a little difficult to use when you have a sharp-pointed chopsticks. Of course, a lot depending how what kind of chopsticks you are accustomed to. But this is a little harder to pick up things such as jingle nuts, such as water chestnuts, things like that. But they are still in very popular use. Now, the things that we don't have up over here would be the kind made out of ivory. And this is very expensive, of course, folks, and not everybody uses that. In the old days, people living in the palaces or people who are having a lot of money, who are in high official places, they like to use the ivory chopsticks. So by the time they use that, and they can test whether the food it has any poison in it or not. So by the time they put the chopsticks into the dish, then they take it out. If the chopsticks turns to be a little black looking, a little blue looking, then they know something must be in the food. Therefore, they would be very careful. And then nowadays, of course, the plastics are very common, so a lot of people are using plastic chopsticks. So these are the different kinds. Now let us take a look. How do we use the chopsticks? In China, we do not use any fork or things like that. That's about as much as we would use. Now, this one is actually putting right on your finger right over here. And then the other one is right above your longest finger. That means the longest finger is controlling this one. And then you would need this thumb to put it down so that it would not fall. Otherwise, it's going to fall. No way to control it. So this is the way that you control that. And then you open and close and open and close. Sometimes you put it down a little bit so you can do it again. And this is the way the Chinese using the chopsticks, which is a very good way to us. We don't really need a fork and things like that. You know, folks, when I first come to this country, somebody entertain me and I sit down and I take a look. Oh boy, you got long forks, short forks, big spoon, small spoon. I sitting down. I have a rough time trying to figure it out what kind of spoon, what kind of fork to use. But if we were to using the chopsticks, even 9-course dinner, we can use that. All right, so much for the chopsticks. So we will finish that and study how do we do the fish, the dish. We call it pork hash. Now, this is the ingredients that we are to use. Of course, the first thing we need would be our pork. So let's say we are taking 1 pound of ground pork. In China, we have so much labor, so we use our hand to chop it up. When they chop it up by hand, it tastes a little better, a little more crunchy effect. But that isn't the most important thing. In this country, we say time is money. Boy, isn't it true? So we use the grinder. Ooh, we really grind it up fast. But this, it would work. Just grinding it up would be good enough. Now over here, you can see we have 1 pound of pork hash, or we call it ground pork. Then we got to do a little seasoning in it so that it would taste good. The seasoning sounds a whole lot, but really it's very simple. Now if you would follow me, we will take these following 4 things, half a teaspoon each of these few things. Now we will go slow, so everybody watch. This is MSG or gourmet powder. Here in the islands, we call it Ajinomoto, so we put it in. And then the next thing, we will take sugar, the same amount. Have a teaspoon, either brown or white, don't make much difference. Then we take the salt, the same amount, or we call it salt to taste. Then a little bit sesame seed oil, also have a teaspoon. If you have the oil, fine. If not, don't have a problem. Don't have a big problem. It's simply giving you a little more smell. Then a dash of white pepper. Now, other than that, we will put a little more oil. That oil, we say 1 teaspoon. The oil is to keep the meat from drying off too fast. And then from here on, 2 teaspoons each of. This is cooking sherry or brandy if you like to use. Then 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. Preferably use the sauce that's a little light in color so that you can maintain the natural look of the pork. And then 2 teaspoons of oyster sauce. If you have it, fine. If not, you add a little more salt to take the place of it. Then that's all what you need. Then we will need 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. Now this is up to you, either 1 or 2, doesn't make much difference. Some people want it a little thicker. Then you would need 1 egg. All you need to do, you just crush the egg, put it right in there, or you whip a little bit beforehand. Either way, this is we are going to mix it up anyway. Then we would need about a little so-called water chestnut. Now this is the water chestnut. When it's raw, it looks like that way. When it's already peeled, then it looks white. You would need roughly about half of a cup. Then all you need to do, you simply put it down, half of a cup, or we say about half a dozen, in that order. Then you crush it a little bit. Now the thing is though, by the time you crush it, it would be better for you to use a towel, so that by the time you crush it, you don't fry it all over. If you don't cover it up, one shot, boy, you got to put it down and look around. Oh, where is my water chestnut? You spend more time looking for your water chestnut on the ground instead of on the board. So all you need to do, You cover it up a little bit. Now shut it a little bit. Little easier to cut it up, that's all. Now, other than that, then you simply chop it finely, like that. Why do we use the water chestnut? This is to give you a little chewy effect. The water chestnut is optional, but if you put it in, it would really help your taste. So how fine should it be? Oh, let's say about a little bigger than sesame seed. After you chop it up, then you add it to the pork, and then you thoroughly mixing it up so that by the time the pork is steamed up, other than taste the pork, you have other kind of taste for contrast. So it's a good way to do. A lot of people like to do that. Now, once you get it up, you put it down here. Then we need a little more thing to help the aroma. So we say a little bit green onion would do the job. So right over here, we have green onion. Now, how much would we need? Roughly about half of a cup of green onion. Then all you need to do, you slice it at random, slowly slice it so that it would not be very thick. That's the idea. You take the onion white and the green part as well, cut it up roughly about half of a cup. Now that would be an approximation, would be good enough. By the time you do the onion, please slice it like what I'm doing now. Do not chop the onion. Once you chop the onion, the sauce come out, the juice come out from the onion. Your food later on would taste better. So you don't want to do that. Now you put it all in. Then that's all what we need for the ingredients. We clean up here a little bit. It's always good to work with a clean kitchen and clean area. Now that if you want something a little more fancy, this is what we call chong choy. It's actually made out of this kind of tune-up. It's dried, salted tune-up. If you wanted to, simply you buy a package, you breaking it up like that, then you cut it up roughly about 1 teaspoon. You cut it up, finely cut about 1 teaspoon like that. Now this is not necessary. If you want it fine, you don't want it not necessary. To those people who are living right around the Chinatown, easier to get, then you get a little bit this. It would help the saltiness a little bit. Now up to this far, you see we have all the ingredients there. So all what we need to do, we simply mix it up. So now let's mix it up nicely with your hand. Of course, your hand should be always clean. Then we take a round platter. Since we are going to do the steaming, folks, it would be better you use a round platter because it's a little easier to work with any kind of pot. Long platter, sometimes it wouldn't work so good. Now, then you put it right down there. Then you press it down a little bit. Roughly have it about a fourth of an inch or a third of an inch high. Your cooking time, half an hour would be good enough. It would be done now. It looks like this, very pretty looking. Then all what you need to do would be to work on your wok. By the time you're doing all this, then you put the water in your wok and then have the higher, turn on your fire so that a lot of steam would coming out. Now in doing this dish though, it would be a lot better if you have the steam coming out before you put your dishes in. If you do not, then it does not taste as good. I don't know why, but I've been doing this kind of work for 16 years now, cooking throughout the mainland and so many different states. And every time I test it out, if you see like this, you have a lot of steam already. Then you put the dish in, makes a lot of difference in taste. Now, as we see over here, we open the wok and you got the water there, you see. How much water would you need? Then all you need to do by the time you put your plate in the wok, the water should be roughly an inch from the dish. Otherwise, the water would really coming in, yeah? Then somebody's going to making pork hash soup. You don't want all the water. Now, as you can see right over here, I got a ring over here, then we put the water here. Let's say if you don't have a ring, no problem. You simply use a bowl, you see. You don't want to use the ring. You put a bowl in there so long you got something putting over there. Somebody say, well, a paper bowl would do. Well, you want to try, you may try it. Now, Up to this far, we know that it's boiling. We know it's got all the smoke coming out, steam coming out. Then you're putting it right over here. Then you turn the fire high so that you got a good steam coming out. Then you keep it on medium high and you cover it up. Now, in half an hour time, then you take it out. Then that would be all done. Now, half an hour up, let's say, oh, the time passed fast. Now we show you that's how this would look. It would be looking like this. Then all you need to do, you may use chopsticks to breaking it up and then serve it to everybody. This is the kind of pork, we call it pork hash, so easy to do. You don't need any special ingredients, and it's really for family. Normally for entertaining, you don't serve this dish. But for family, so easy to work. After you put it in, half an hour, you don't have to watch it. Half an hour, you take it out, will be done. So it's a very good dish for that. Now, this is the way we do the steaming. You know, the Chinese have roughly about 10 different kind of cooking methods. One of them, of course, we call it the steaming method, as we can see. Now, this type of steaming is more or less in the simple type. Half an hour, 15 minutes, you steam a fish, 15, 20 minutes, a pork dish, half an hour, that's done. Now, these are the simple kind. But there are some a little more complicated kind as well. So if you would like to follow me, taking a look at this one. Now, this is actually a steaming basket, if you would like to call it. Now, this is one of the basket that you can use and putting it right on top of your water. This way, you got a lot of steam. You can get up to about 2 or 3 stacks like that, and then you can steam a lot of things together. Now, this is almost the thing for all that kind of dim sum and things like that. Now, we take a look at this one, see how it would work. Now, if you would take a look at right over here, this is a dish right over here. We are steaming it. This type of dish, normally we steam it about, let's say, 2 hours or so. So now you see right at the bottom there, we got the hot water going like this. You really got a lot of steam coming out, and then you put your steam basket in there, and then you cover it up. Always wait until a lot of smoke coming out, then you put your dish in. Now, what is this dish? What is this dish? A lot of people might not have seen it because this is a little more rather unusual. We don't normally serve it in the restaurants. This is the dish what we call a beautiful woman's rolling buttocks. Now, this name has not gotten to the Western world until Mrs. Nixon, when she was in Peking. She went down to the Peking hotel, and she, for the first time, take a look at the Chinese people work there, and she was very fascinating with this dish. And this is how actually it's done. What this dish is actually a piece of pork. Roughly, you use the thigh, then you cut it round with the skin, then you steam it. And once it's done, about 2 hours, of course, we're not showing you how to do this, just very roughly to let you know. Then when it is done, now this is actually done, then you make a little bit of sauce. Normally a brown sauce, then you put it right on top. Put a little brown sauce right on top there. And then you add a little half-wilted lettuce. So over here we have the lettuce already half-wilted, and we put it right around there. The reason that you are not very familiar with this dish is because it is a little fat. You will say, well, why don't you cut the fat off? It does not work, because that shows about the Chinese culture as well, because in China, the oil, things like that is not as common. Now, in this country, by the time you eat, you have your dessert and things like that. But in China, we don't use so much milk, so much sweet thing, so we want a little bit more oil in our body. Therefore, we retain the fat, we retain the skin, and then we use this kind of lettuce to soak in all the juice. After you steam it for 2 hours with all the marination and everything, then you really get a nice taste, all the juice coming down, and then you use this kind of half-wilted lettuce, put it underneath, put it around there to soak off all this good tasting sauce. Then right before you serve, then you put a few Chinese parsley just for decoration. Then you serve it with a fork. By the time, you don't need a knife to cut it, because by the time it's done, a couple hours, it's very tender. So that makes a very, very good dish. In the southern China, during the New Year's Eve or the New Year's Day, people use this kind of thing to represent rang. Rang means getting together. In Chinese word means people getting together, the family get together, friends get together to enjoy the friendship, things like that. That's why it's popular at that time. Now, this is not commonly served in the restaurant, because it takes so long to do it, and then you have to order it way at a time, and then it's a little oily. You are not quite familiar with that. And that's the dish that Mrs. Nixon saw. Other than that, now we will take a look at the cooking the pork hash now. Right now, of course, it's not done yet. As you can see right over here, it's about half done. After all, as we say, yeah, for 1 pound, you need about half an hour. So this is about half done. Once it's done, then you will see a lot of water right around there, you see. If there are too much juice, all you need to do before you serve, pour it out a little bit, or use it on your plain steamed rice. It would be really tasting good. Now, if you want a little shiny effect right before you serve, then you touch it a little bit with oil. Sometimes you have children at home, and then they are so curious, wanted to take a look and whatever, and then they touch the hot plate. So that would be a pretty bad situation. So all you need to do, you use another platter. You take this out, put it right on the platter like this. Then you take it out to the dining room, so it would be very safe and very tasty. This is a very simple dish, and I strongly recommend you try that, because it's very tasty, very easy to make. Next time, other than doing this dish, we will show you another very interesting dish. So be in tune with us, and until then, we say joy yin.